Now, Jamaica, my Jamaican people, let me say this. It's the situation with our prime minister is really, hit the ground, right? It is quite embarrassing. And we have now seen that the international interests, right, are now looking into the situation as it relates to what is unfolding with the prime minister. The prime minister is really in a deep, deep waters. And let me say this to, critical thinkers, persons who are patriotic, looking at this situation. We, the Jamaican people, the taxpayers, we have a right, because we are paying our tax, to ensure that our tax dollars being spent the way to be spent. And in any civilized country, you don't want to have your prime minister or president that is, as what it seems, right, pilfering from the treasury of the people or the people's coffers. No. And so then when we see that, right, as it relates to those red flags, and it relates to where you have a prime minister where his statutory declaration for 3 years cannot be certified. So it's a grave concern, right? A grave concern. And so we have to, of course, speak on it. Yeah. But let me say this. We have the Integrity Commission investigators. And I say kudos to Greg Christie and his men, right, to provide us with this information, which, of course, we deserve to know. So kudos to Greg Christie and his excellent workers who provided us the information. We have seen, as we know it, that the Integrity Commission bill was crafted by Mark Golding and put in law by the Andrew Holness administration. If people are to go back to the electorate, the political electorate map, let me just shape it for you. In 2016, the Jamaica Labour Party won 32 and the PNP won 31 seats, a totality of 63 members of parliament. And they together, right, where Mark Golding crafted the bill, right, and put the Integrity Commission bill, right, into law. And so then that was phased in, right, 2018 in terms of its operation. Now, what we are seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing now that when it was crafted, Andrew Holness particularly, and I'm going to play the clip to remind Andrew that he applauded them. Andrew Holness applauded them. The Integrity Commission, and particularly prior to the Integrity Commission Act, we used to have the Contractor General, right? And I mean, from in the days of the Contractor General, Greg Christie, right, both called out the PNP and both called out the GLP whenever there are discrepancies. Greg Christie called out PNP, called out GLP. So I am very much surprised in terms of after Andrew Holness applaud the Integrity Commission. Right? We have seen where Andrew Holness support the Integrity Commission when they find issues with Aslan. However, when the Integrity Commission finding issues with the GLP administration, and in particular Andrew Holness, then there's a problem. The Integrity Commission now seems to be partisan. The Integrity Commission seems to be unfair. The Integrity Commission seems to act out of malice. The Integrity Commission seems to be the devil, the demons in the room. Because now that Andrew Holness under the microscope, without any delay, people, let me just remind Andrew Holness of this clip. So I'm going to play it. So Andrew, if you are looking, let me remind you of how much you praise the Integrity Commission, right? At the time when you are praising them, the Integrity Commission, they weren't partisan, they weren't PNP operatives, right? But you applaud them, right? So let me remind you, without any delay, let us play Integrity Commission. Bill pass. Yeah. Let us show our people the evidence that we have. Let us show the evidence.
And as such will function under its general oversight. And I don't want to be giving conflicting views. It is a commission of parliament, but it is still independent. It is independent, like all the other commissions which have to be attached to some form of state authority. But the parliament cannot interfere in or direct the commission as to what to do, in the similar way that there are other independent commissions which are attached to parliament.
Okay. Now, let me ask Andrew Holness a question, sir. Do you believe that the Integrity Commission should operate independently? I want to ask you that now. Do you still believe that the Integrity Commission must not be interfered with, right? And be stronghold by members of parliament? Because the Integrity Commission investigators, right? Commission of Parliament is to be independent in its operation and without interference. Now, by your own words, you have now convicted yourself and your administration based on what we have been witnessing, that you are going out on your rant, writing to say that the Integrity Commissioners, the investigators, are biased, prejudiced against you. And you even taking advanced steps to remove the section that deals with illicit enrichment. So let me ask you, Andrew, let me ask you, sir, in terms of your rationality, in terms of your wisdom, my well-learned friend, let me ask you, do you believe that a democratic society should operate without checks and balance, transparency, and accountability? Because if you remove the mechanism that able to monitor illicit enrichment, what are you saying to the Jamaican people? That it's okay for members of parliament to enrich themselves illicitly, and no questions are to be asked. Is that what you are saying to us, Prime Minister? To all those persons who are defending, and you see, we need patriotism, right? Persons who can go beyond their party, right, and speak the truth, right? And so then we are talking about, of course, where we have independent persons looking in to what is transpiring with the government and speaking out.
And this is where Jamaican law gets interesting. They have this thing called a reverse burden when it comes to illicit enrichment.
Reverse burden? That sounds complicated.
It's not too bad. Usually it's innocent until proven guilty, right? Well, with illicit enrichment, it's flipped. The prosecution just has to show that you have more money than you should based on your income. Then it's your job to prove you got it legally.
So it's like, okay, you've got a yacht, but you make minimum wage. Explain that.
Exactly. And in this case, the Integrity Commission thinks Mr. Holness hasn't adequately explained his wealth, so they think the FID needs to investigate.
This is serious stuff. So what does this all mean for Mr. Holness? What are the potential consequences?
We could be talking criminal charges, big fines, even jail time.
Jail time. The Prime Minister.
It's possible, especially if those tax fraud allegations are true.
Wow. And even if he doesn't go to jail, this is a disaster for his reputation.
Absolutely. It raises serious questions about his judgment and his commitment to ethical conduct.
It's a good reminder that no one, not even a prime minister, is above the law. This whole situation reminds me of that other scandal with...
You know what? You're right. It does seem to fit a pattern.
Exactly. But we'll save that for another deep dive. Speaking of murky dealings, let's talk about that $50 million loan from Burita Investments Limited. That's where things get really interesting. So Burita Investments Limited, they're the ones who gave Imperium that massive loan, right? $50 million.
That's the one. And the report makes it seem like Burita may have bent the rules a little to make it happen.
Okay, give me the details. What did Burita do that has the Integrity Commission's attention?
Well, for one, they accepted a mortgage document for a property that, according to official records, isn't even owned by Imperium.
That's a pretty big oversight. What else?
It gets better. Apparently, they also approved the loan based on a verbal agreement with Mr. Holness. No paper trail, no formal documentation.
Now, I'm all for a good handshake deal, but not when you're talking about a $50 million loan to a company owned by the Prime Minister.
Exactly. And the Integrity Commission agrees. They're recommending that the Financial Services Commission, they regulate financial institutions in Jamaica, give Burita a thorough audit. They want to know if any laws were broken when they gave out that loan.
So now Burita might be in trouble too.
It's possible. And it just goes to show you, this isn't just about one man's finances. This is a whole web of connections, powerful people, companies, even government agencies. Makes you wonder what else is out there.
It really highlights how important transparency and accountability are.
100%.
Yeah.
The Integrity Commission needs the power to investigate these things, to follow the money and hold people accountable.
Because if not, it's like, yeah, anything goes.
Exactly. And people lose trust in the whole system.
It's a reminder that no one's above the law, right?
Absolutely not.
Expert speaker, this has been fascinating. Thank you for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime.
And deep divers, we hope this has inspired you to keep asking tough questions, demand transparency, and hold those in power accountable. Until next time, keep diving deep.
You know, when you're dealing with ordinary crime, as it relates to the statute of the law or the tenets of the law, right? It says a man is innocent until proven guilty. But when you're talking about members of parliament, right, where illicit enrichment is concerned, the kind flips a bit. And that's why I say, if Andrew Holness, if FID, people, and I want you to listen to me, if FID, right, done their investigation and put Andrew Holness in the judiciary, right? Andrew Holness is going to be found guilty. Reason being, the Integrity Commission investigators, this is the reason why I am saying this. And remember, this is the public court of opinion. right? What we are saying here, it is not like the court is going to use any of our evidence and, you know, use that in the trial. That cannot be done. That will be totally unprofessional. However, the evidence that the investigators collected are going to be the sole issues that the court is going to rely on. So the court is going to rely on all the evidence being gathered and all the evidence being processed in the court, right? So what we are saying here, right, in terms of our public opinion, will not be utilized in the court, but, you know, we are giving, right, some tips as it relates to our experiences and our faculties. Fair enough, right? So then, what we are saying that with Andrew Lawless in court, right, as it relates to the difficulty what the Integrity Commission investigators met as to why they didn't complete the investigation, right, is to the fact that Andrew Lawless did not want to speak to them as it relates to the source of funds. This is really fundamental, and this is very, very, very serious for Andrew Lawless. In spite of Delroy Chuck, Colonel Charles, and all of them who want to put up roadblock, right? They can put up all the roadblock that they can put up, right? They can do all their antics and perform all their antics in Parliament. Parliament and in the court is two different things, right? So regardless of their behavior, regardless of how they want to be partisan, regardless of how they want to speak out now and, you know, speak so strong and try to be strong and wrong, it makes no sense when Andrew Lawless get into the court. It's going to be a different kettle of fish, right? So what the court is going to look on, right? It is going to, as it relates to what I said, the Integrity Commission investigators, right, has a problem in terms of Andrew Lawless not want to cooperate in telling them the source of funds. And so then this is the reason why FID was recommended. Now, there is no law, right, in the Integrity Commission Act to say to the Integrity Commission investigators that, okay, at the beginning of your investigation, you should call in the FIDs, you should call in TAJ. Nowhere in the Integrity Commission Act stated that. So then, the Integrity Commission investigators has complete privilege, and that's what you have heard earlier on the earlier clip, right, where Andrew Lawless is saying that the Integrity Commission must act independently. So then, Mr. Lawless, it is the independent decision of the Integrity Commission investigators as to when they decided to call in FIDs. So then, if the Integrity Commission want to call FIDs from the beginning of the investigation, that's fine. If the Integrity Commission investigators want to call in FIDs at the middle of the investigation, that is also fine. If the Integrity Commission, right, want to call in FIDs right at the space where they're calling FIDs right now because they're booked into a roadblock, right, you don't want to communicate, and they decide, okay, let us call in FIDs because FID has a wider scope, it is okay. It is not unconstitutional. So, Andrew Lawless, where you're talking about, right, the Integrity Commission Act unconstitutional, you need to go and read the Integrity Commission Act and try to comprehend it, right? It's not about what you believe or what you want, right? You read that act and comprehend it, and I'm telling you, sir, nowhere in the act that tells the Integrity Commission investigators when they need to work with any, right, of those expected entities that they are to work with. There's nowhere in the act, right? Mystic Sensation is telling you that. Nowhere in the act, right? So then for you talking about the Integrity Commission Act unconstitutional, right, you're just screaming because, of course, FID is coming. And that is why you are screaming. Now, let us get into the situation at hand, my people. Now, when you have the Prime Minister going out on a rant and trying to defame, right, members of the Integrity Commission characters, because that's exactly what you're doing, Andrew. Try to defame their character, right? Where you appointed them. Now you're trying to defame their character in saying that they are biased, right? They are prejudiced, right? In saying that, and worse of all, right, that they are political operatives. That word is very serious. And that's defaming. So I am going to show the Jamaican people, right, that who you are trying to defame are credible people of society. Credible people of society. Right? Extinguish people of society. So then, without any delay, let us show the people all the persons who you are trying to defame.
The chairman is the Honorable Justice Seymour Panton OJ OD. The Honorable Justice Lloyd Hibbert. Mrs. Pamela Monroe Ellis. She is the Auditor General. You have Mr. Greg Christie, who made him name basically as the former Contractor General of Jamaica. He's also an attorney at law. Now, me not tell you that, me not surprised when we see them name, you know. Because me did think when we come on the Integrity Commission list, I see KD Knight and Philip Palwell and the whole of the PNP officer and all of them. Me never know say them kind of distinguished Jamaicans. Bro God say, I try embarrass him and tear him down and do him out. The Prime Minister is basically making the case that the Integrity Commission has no integrity. Guess who appointed the members of the Integrity Commission? Yes, the government.
Now, people, I just want to show you the evidence, right? Just imagine that you want to defame these distinguished characters, right? Telling us that they are partisan, right? And this Andrew Holness, bro God, want to class the people to say that they are PNP operative. You know very well, Jamaica, that Mr. Brogard wanting to hide what he wants to hide. But guess what? Speed is going to dig. So Andrew Holness, no matter how you beat, no matter how you try to block, no matter how you try to holler, right? And let me say this to you, Andrew Holness, before it happens. Right? Your judiciary review, right, is going to be kicked out of the court.